All right, everyone, welcome back into another NBA props video. Going to be touching on the top prop bets here in the NBA, giving you guys my game-by-game breakdown. To do that, let's go ahead and jump into it. Now, real quickly, I do want to call one thing here, guys. We did have another lock bet that I called out in the 9-to-5 Discord chat. That was Anthony Simons to get over his fantasy score last night. And you guys can see why that one was a bet that was popping up in there as a good bet. Basically, a bet that's checking all the boxes. And again, I want to make this clear. A lock bet is not like a bet that's guaranteed to hit. I don't like that verbiage, but it's a bet that we should be going out of our way to target. It is the best bet that's on the board because it is checking all the boxes. And I do want to say, it's 5 for 5 in the year, the lock bets that we've had. Is that going to continue? Not at that sustained rate. It's not going to hit 100% of the time, but it is more a way of calling out that we are getting, really solid bets, really solid numbers on a bet. And so that's the whole purpose of the NBA cheat sheet. And I want to start out with the NBA cheat sheet here, showing you guys some of the bets that we are really getting as good bets as it sits right now. And real quick, before we do that, guys, do got to give a quick shout out to Charlie Hoffman for getting 5 birdies. He actually started off the tournament +3. He could have mailed it in after that. He did not. And so that was our first 6 for 6 slip of the season, putting us at 18 plus units on the year. Hopefully, we never have to worry about not being plus units profit on the year like we've been able to do the last 2 years now since I've been giving props content. So pretty awesome stuff there. Pretty excited about that. But yeah, I do want to call it the NBA cheat sheet because right now, guys, we are getting a lot of decent bets on the board, okay? And bets that are really good percent likely to hit as well. So we got 3 really good bets right now. Okay, Trey Lyles to get under his fantasy score. You guys can see why. Now, for it to be a lock bet, we'll have to get the underdog line to be able to compare it against. But right now, this is a bet I'm definitely going out of my way to target. He gets a difficult matchup. Not expected to see a minutes bump. Actually, expected to see a minutes decrease. And if he does get, let's say 19 minutes, he is expected to get the under in a more difficult matchup. Another one that I'd like a decent amount is Lonzo Ball to get over his fantasy score, and this is mostly due to the matchup there against Washington, the easiest matchup that he can ask for. We do see the last 2 games, he only has 17 and 18.8. Kind of well there. Again, when you adjust it for the matchup, that's seemingly going to be a good bet for us. We see this game against Washington for him. He was able to get the over in that game and really went off in that game there, 31 there. So pretty awesome stuff there. And then lastly, KCP. KCP has been someone that has really stepped up for Orlando with them being pretty banged up. Now, Banchero is expected back tonight, but he is most likely going to be on a minutes limit. So I still think we can operate under KCP, just having that increased, kind of minutes and just role as well, usage as well. And so if that does occur, he's seemingly in a good spot. Okay, Jalen Suggs is still out. The Wagners are still out there as well. So he's seemingly going to be a good bet for us as well. So pretty awesome to be able to start the video out with 3 really solid prop bets. But I want to start out with that for you guys, just in case. I like to start off with good prop bets, basically, just in case they get bumped. Like if I show this to you guys at the end of the video, 15 minutes later, that could be the difference between a bet being there or not being there. So with that, guys, let's go ahead now and jump on into the game-by-game breakdown. So let's jump on into Milwaukee versus Orlando here, guys. Again, Orlando is still pretty banged up without the Wagners, and so we are still expecting Cole Anthony to see a minutes bump. He has been someone that I've mentioned a bunch where he does benefit with those players off, specifically points-wise. But again, with Banchero back, really, what can we expect? He is expected to see about 6 less minutes if we round down there. And really, to me, I'm looking at it, guys, really the only prop bet that I do feel comfortable with, just because we are being told to bet the over, is that KCP prop bet where it's a 54% likely to hit. I could see Goga maybe not playing as well, especially with Banchero back as well. I could see that going against the Bucks with Brook Lopez defense. I could see that, but do I need to go out of my way to bet that? Not exactly here. Looking at the Milwaukee Bucks, Chris Middleton did resort to the bench, but I actually don't mind his over 3.5 assists. The data actually really likes this bet. Again, more of a traditional sportsbook bet, sleeper bet. I know they do a lot of promos there. This could be a bet that we'd be looking at there. 3.5 assists. Fine with that. I think that's a solid bet there. And then Taurean Prince, potentially for under his fantasy score. He is starting again. Actually, let's take a peek at those 2. So Taurean Prince is actually the best prop bet here going against the Magic, where this is a 210 game total, which is a little bit higher scoring for the Magic, but it is a 7-point spread. We see Taurean Prince, guys, starting again, only 7.3 points in that game. And it is a more difficult matchup here against Orlando. We see in a game against Orlando early on the season, 6 fantasy points there. It's not a bad bet there. I'm okay with it. And then, yeah, Chris Middleton, guys, it's not the best matchup there going against Orlando. That's the biggest concern. And we do see recently 3, 3, and 2 assists. But then prior to that was really crushing his over assists. And really, I think this really comes down to maybe the game potentially being a blowout. We are seeing some differing lines here, though. I think that's worth calling out. FanDuel has this at -154, and then we have Fliff at -120. Okay, so we are seeing some differing lines there. I don't mind the over there. I think that's a decent bet there going against Orlando. Let's go ahead and jump on into this next game. We got the Pacers versus the Golden State Warriors. Pacers are favored by almost 8 points, 224 game total, so not like terribly high scoring, but not low scoring by any means. Looking at, they are still a little bit banged up. Miles Turner currently questionable. If he were to end up sitting, that would create some potential value here. And then same thing with Halliburton. If he were to potentially sit in this game, then obviously Andrew Nembhard, someone that's popping up to even still get that minutes bump with Aaron Naismith up, he'd be someone that I think we'd be looking at. We are seeing Halliburton to get over 8.5 assists is a decent bet. About a 54 or 53.4% likely to hit. Not exactly a bet that we need to go out of our way to target. Mathurin is someone that would benefit if Halliburton were to sit as well, just as an FYI. Andrew Nembhard over assists. Yeah, don't exactly need to get there. Maybe rebounds. Now if Hallie were to sit, sure, we gained a decent edge there. I don't want to bet on that. I am kind of kicking myself, guys, for last night. I mentioned I could really see the Cleveland Cavaliers sitting one of their starters. And I should have took that thought a step further and be like, all right, with that thought process, let's just bet all the overs on everyone else, or on everyone there. I should have done that. I'm kicking myself for that. Anyways, jumping into Golden State here, we are seeing they're still a little bit banged up. Pods is still out, Kuminga out, and Andrew Wiggins is out. And so with that, we are seeing Jackson Davis have that minutes bump, about 9.3 more minutes in terms of players that we're getting prop bets for. Dennis Schroeder, still expected to see that minutes decrease from when he was out with Brooklyn, so still seeing a little bit less minutes. We are seeing Draymond Green to get under his fantasy score. This is a bet that I do think will end up being a little bit of a sweat here. We see he's projected to get a little bit over. Again, guys, the projection data is more based off of DFS projections, so typically they're a little bit higher on average. The rest of the data points are telling us to bet the under. He has been kind of hit or miss, but he's been right around there. Okay, so his line is 30, 27 last game, 33, 24, 22, so been right around there. I would agree here, though. Like, probably a 54% likelihood for the under to hit. I'd be fine with that. Against Indy recently, guys, 29 fantasy points in that game, so just getting the under there. And so, yeah, another decent bet. I mean, we are getting several of decent bets for us to go out of our way to target today, even better than some of the other days that we've gotten. I'm actually really surprised that they gave us these early NBA lines. I wonder if that's because college football is going on, where they're like, we need to get more volume in the NBA. And so they're giving us lines. I would assume that's the case, because it's strange that they are giving us these lines, because we are able to benefit earlier and place more bets. I'm like, it's an exciting thing. All right, so let's go ahead and get into New Orleans versus Philly, guys. Philly is still pretty banged up. We got Adam Bona here for a player that is expected to get more minutes, and he's a player that I like, being a UCLA Bruins fan. So it kind of pains me to see that we're supposed to bet his under fantasy score. I could see that, but to see someone that could potentially get more run now, maybe. They're going to be without a lot of players. Andre Drummond's out, Joel Embiid's out, and so I would rather bet on Yabusele to get over anything if we were getting a good bet on him. So like points and rebounds here, I would rather bet on that. You look at his like per 36 production with him off the court, he'd be someone I want to get to. Now we're only seeing like a 4 minutes bump for him, but I think I could get there. The issue that I have with those bets is like the minutes could just be random with those two specifically. Let's take a peek at that. And I want to see his game log. So obviously Bona gets a pretty good matchup there. We see last game 14 minutes in that game, was able to get the over 17. And then it just really comes down to his minutes. Like, will he get more or less minutes than what he's projected to get? That's the concern there. I don't know. I could see him getting more minutes. I don't know if that's a bet that I need to go out of my way to target. And let's take a peek at Yabusele here as well. So we see he's projected to get 28 minutes. And over the past few games, guys, he's actually gotten 34 and 36 minutes. I think he'd be a candidate to actually get more minutes than what he's projected to get. And if that does occur, obviously we gained a pretty darn good advantage there. So I'm actually okay with this one. Again, this is more of a good traditional sportsbook bet rather than any other bet that we would need to go out of our way to target, but I'm okay with that one. I think that's solid. All right, jumping into the next game, we got OKC versus the New York Knicks. So OKC still kind of having the same people out that they've had out for quite some time. With that, we're not seeing like significantly good edges either way. We can kind of just move on past them, really. And same thing basically with the New York Knicks here as well, guys. Towns is day-to-day, but I think we're expecting him to play in this game. And McBride is out as well. But obviously, if Cat were to sit, that would open up a lot of usage for Josh Hart, for Jalen Brunson, for McCulber, really for all of them, OG as well. And so could be something where you try to gain an edge betting that way, hoping that Cat ends up sitting, because then a lot of the prop bets that we are currently being presented are all a little bit too low. Like Jalen Brunson to get over his points is already a bet that's okay. He does draw a more difficult matchup. OG would actually be someone who'd probably flip and want to bet on his over fantasy score. So it really just depends on your risk tolerance there. I don't really want to get there with any of those. But again, if Cat sits, we're getting some pretty good value. Jumping on into the next game, we got the Kings versus the Celtics. With the Kings, we are seeing that De'Aaron Fox is expected to sit. And now if that occurs, guys, Malik Monk is going to be someone we're looking at, Sabonis, DeMar DeRozan. All these guys are going to be players that we want to get to a little bit more. We are seeing DeMar DeRozan for under his fantasy scores, a bet that's popping up. I disagree. Okay, this is where I think Vegas is just wrong. And again, if we get that news that Fox ends up sitting, we're getting a lot of great value. Per 36, he does average more than this. Same thing with Malik Monk. Both are two players that we could see really benefit with De'Aaron Fox off the court. And so right away, guys, I think DeMar DeRozan is a good bet for his over fantasy score. I think that's a bet that we can get to there. Now, the concern here has got to be that they're almost 11-point dogs in this game. Okay, that's a concern. Another concern is the new head coach, interim head coach, if you will. Maybe stuff changes rotation-wise, minutes-wise. Maybe they try to get some looks. That's a concern for sure. But DeMar DeRozan, I don't mind for his over fantasy score with De'Aaron Fox expected to sit. Again, Malik Monk, we could do that as well. Now, guys, with it being a 10-point spread, we are seeing some interesting lines here popping up as okay bets here for Boston as well. We are seeing Jaylen Brown for under his fantasy score be a bet that's popping up as well. Kind of okay with that. Really just depends on the minutes. And Porzingis as well, a decent bet for under his fantasy score there as well. So two interesting lines there with them. I'm kind of okay with that. We're almost getting too many good bets today. But I do want to make this clear. I think part of the reason as to why we're probably looking at the unders for these two is just not getting their normal average minutes, even though the projection data is kind of suggesting that. With it being a 10-point spread, it could lead to them seeing less minutes. And then jumping into Chicago versus Washington, guys. So yes, Chicago is still going to be without AO. That's why we are gaining a decent edge there with Lonzo Ball for over his fantasy score here, guys. Okay, so again, that's a very good edge for us. Kobe White potentially for over rebounds and assists. This is a bet that I see as a good traditional sportsbook bet. So 52% likely to hit. 52.5, if you will. You see, all the other data points are kind of suggesting that he could get the over. He also draws a good matchup as well. So it's a very good matchup for guards. I'm fine with that. I think that's a solid edge there for us. Jumping on into Washington. Washington's going to be pretty banged up. So Bay is still out. Malcolm Brogdon's out. Johnny Davis day-to-day, Jordan Poole expected to sit. And so with that, guys, like if Poole does end up sitting, like we're going to get some good edges on basically everyone as well. So like Kyle Kuzma, we gained some decent edges on. Now we do have to worry about his minutes. He is expected to see a little bit more of a minutes bump here, 2 more minutes. Bob Carrington would be someone we were trying to get to. I think we'd want to probably just bet on their over fantasy score, but Bob Carrington here, guys, he draws a good matchup rebound-wise as well going against the Bulls. Really, all of them. I mean, Bulls are just a good matchup across the board, but this is probably the one you'd want to go in on the most and just hope for a slight minutes bump. Koulibaly as well. If Poole does end up staying, he's some of that benefits. And again, he gets a pretty good matchup. You could bet on his over points and assists. And honestly, I think we have a little bit of a game stack in this game. It's kind of appealing in that regard. I think I would rather do that because it is a very high scoring game, 243. Okay, but it is a very likely game to be a blowout. Okay, 11.5 points if we round up. So that's a concern. This game could end up being a blowout, but it is a very high-scoring game to the point where we should be getting a lot of production in that game. So, yes, I think that's a great game stack. Maybe a better game stack for more traditional sportsbooks, but either way, love those edges. And then Brooklyn versus Denver, guys. Brooklyn is still so banged up to the point where it does make them a little bit more difficult to kind of get in on. Like Keon Johnson, expect to see a lot of minutes. Noah Clowney, expect to see a lot of minutes in this game. But we are seeing the lines be properly adjusted for that now. Like, I actually would probably, I think the line's right here for Keon Johnson. I do. I don't want to bet his under. I'm not going to do that. I was hoping that we would be able to bet his over. PrizePicks got it right. Okay. And I would say that's the case for all the other bets that we're getting here for Brooklyn as well. Kind of unfortunate there. And then looking at Denver as well, guys. Nothing too crazy. I think all the bets that we're getting for Denver are seemingly correct as well. So with that, guys, we are going to go ahead and jump on into the 9-to-5 bet of the day. Again, if you guys want access to the tools that you just saw in this video, head on over to 9to5sports.com, guys. Get access to all the fantasy golf tools and the PrizePicks and Underdog cheat sheets as well. Coming in, guys, we just had a very solid day fantasy golf-wise where we were able to profit plus 17 units on the day yesterday. That was a lot due to us having some really good edges on PrizePicks and Underdog. So check that out, guys. Again, going to be available for just $10 a month. All right, guys, so jumping into the 9 to 5 NBA bet of the day. Do want to make this clear? It's the NBA bet of the day. We are getting some other bets on just the 9 to 5 PrizePicks cheat sheet that you can check out as well. There are seemingly good edges there as well if you guys want to maybe replace the other 3 prop bets that we're getting here where, you know, they weren't considered like hammer bets. So Green, Prince, and Bona, where we're betting the under fantasy score. Again, Bona could easily get that over if the minutes are more than what he's really projected to get. But these 3 prop bets right here are clearly some of the better bets that we are getting. Again, I would love to see the underdog fantasy score edges lines that we're getting to see kind of if we're getting even a bigger edge on these prop bets, but that's something we typically don't get until really about 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. So can't really wait that long here, guys. That would hurt the channel a little bit too much there. But that's going to be all for this video, guys. Make sure to give a like and subscribe to the channel. Love the fact that we're off to a hot start thus far this year and really just over the past 2 months, guys. So leave a like, comment your guys' favorite prop, but make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Again, if you guys want access to any of the tools, head on over to 9to5sports.com. Get access to them for just $10 a month. Thanks for watching, guys. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.